Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 235 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 235 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you're here this week. I hope that you'll stay for a very long time. If you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you so much for continuing to rock with me. I wouldn't be able to do this without you, and I am so glad that you've stayed around. So please stay, bring friends, and share, and let's continue to grow this party together. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to be foundational. If you've listened for a while, you probably could recite this with me, but sometimes I change it up to keep you on your toes. But seriously though, I like to take this opportunity to kind of set the foundation of what we're doing here. I really feel like the podcast and the brand is about creating a safe space. And so with that safe space, I like to make sure that my foundation is strong, just like a house. And so it's very important that we set it up on two very important things, which are clarity and love. Clarity is really straightforward. I just want to make sure that you understand that the Well Done Life is a brand that I created for women because I believe in the power of us. I believe in the power of us sharing our stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, because I truly believe that we are the foundations of society and that there is strength in our stories and there's commonality. And so hopefully by me sharing my journey, I give you the tools to maybe avoid some of the mistakes that I've made or to see your way through, to be inspired, to recognize that even though you might be in seasons right now, it's not going to last forever. Or just so that you can try to be your best self, because your story, just like my story, adds value. And then also I love to spotlight other women because, again, it's all about magnification. It's all about growth. It's all about giving space to women because we need it. We truly need it in order to be able to cultivate and support and encourage each other in times like this and even beyond. So thank you again. Like I said, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here, and I want you to stay for a very, very long time and bring lots of friends. And then that leads right into my second foundation, which is truly one of my main foundations, I think. Like, it is the thing that I love. I love love. I'm a sucker for love. So everything that we do in this space is always going to be rooted in it. And so for me, it's just very important before we start diving into a whole bunch of other stuff that I send prayers to you. I really believe in the power of prayer and the power of magnifying it. So I feel like when I'm sharing my prayers with you, you're in alignment with me. And then we are doing something that is hopefully cultivating some good energy out here for us all. So starting it off, I'm standing on it. I'm going to continue to stand on it. It is one of the most important things that I have found in my journey to be the best version of me is standing on peace. It is so important in a world that moves so quickly for you to always carve out times of peace. And for a lot of us as women, that can be a little challenging. I mean, of course, we have lots of different demands on our times. We have lots of different demands on our time as people, not just women, but as women, because it tend to be the foundation. We tend to be the foundation of our homes. And so we have to be strong for so many others, but you always have to find time to be strong for yourself. There is nothing selfish about pulling back and allowing yourself to have peace, to be able to sit in stillness, to be able to regulate your mind and your body so that you can go forth and do all the amazing things that you do. You deserve that. You owe it to yourself. And it's especially helpful, like I said, in times of sheer chaos and craziness, because the world is going to keep on moving. Life is going to keep on happening. And you have to be able to dial into you. But one thing I want to preface too, when you dial into you, when you are taking those moments of peace, when you are sitting still, I want to remind you, don't sit there forever. Don't sit in stillness forever. Allow yourself the space and the opportunity and the grace to move forward. It is very easy sometimes in stillness to allow our thoughts to replay the highlight reels of things that we are going through, the mistakes and all of the things that we've struggled with, because it's very rare that we allow ourselves to see all of the good things because, we tend to be our harshest critics. I just want to make sure I offer that disclaimer out there because it is so important. Do not sit in the highlight reel of struggle. Do not continue continuously allow it to play in your mind and you just decide that this is where you are going to find peace, that is not peace. That is putting yourself in a cycle of pain that is going to lead to isolation and for you not making movement. And I implore you not to do that. So I want to make sure that as I am, of course, wanting you to have peace and find time for stillness and sit still and your thoughts and allow your body and your mind to regulate and process, I also want to make sure I put that disclaimer out there. Do not sit in a highlight reel of traumas and mistakes and troubles, because that's not peace. That's punishment. And that is not what that's about. You have to learn how to forgive and move forward. And your peace is not about you replaying things that just didn't work out. So I want to make sure I add that there. And then going into my second prayer, along with that of peace, I want it to be that you have a prayer of clarity. It is so important to be clear about what you are experiencing, what you are seeing, about who you are and your values. I mean, there's so many things that I can say, and I think it's another prayer that I stand on so much, and I could wax poetically about the importance of clarity. But the simplest thing that I can say about clarity is you have to see where you are in order to be able to see where you're going to go. You really do. You have to be able to see things truthfully as it is. And sometimes the harshest truths are the ones that we see from ourselves. And it can be one of the things that really can hurt us. But it is so important because you have to see where you are in order to know that you don't want to stay here. In order to know that, you know what, this thing is working, but this thing isn't. In order to really decide that you're going to be able to move forward, you have to be able to see the road. You have to be able to see where you are and where you're stepping. It won't always be known to you. You're going to always face things and have things in life that are going to come up that you're not going to be able to see. But you have to have clarity about who you are and where you are so that you can know your capabilities. You can know your ability, your strengths. You can know your weaknesses as you are moving forward so that you can try to navigate and with a sense of purpose and a sense of protection and a sense of focus and just a sense of who you are. And we'll talk about more about owning yourself. But I want to make sure, because like I said, in these days and times, it is very important to be clear about what is going on. There is no more in between. No more in between. It is about what it is and then understanding, okay, this is what it is, but I still have to move forward. So I really do feel like the prayers of peace and clarity go together. And that's why I always like to say that. And then rounding up my prayers this week, because I'm going to keep it nice and tight. I want you to have abundance, and I stand on abundance as well. It is so important to me. I want you to obviously to be financially abundant so that you can be a blessing to yourself and to other people. But I also want you to be abundant in your spirit. I want you to find joy. I want you to carve out joy, claim joy, find your joy, find your happiness. You are not meant to just work. You are not meant to just struggle. You are not meant to always have to be trying to figure it out. And you're not always meant to heal. You can have moments of joy and happiness, and joy and happiness are two of the greatest riches of abundance for our soul. And our soul needs that. Our soul thrives in moments like that. So I want you to have those moments. That's why I always so much, I think, stand on peace and clarity, because those things are essential. Because when you're in a state of claiming your peace and seeing things clearly, you can recognize moments of joy and happiness so much more, and you can really value them and savor them and really claim them. So that's why I feel like all of them kind of go together. So those are my prayers for you this week. I am recording on Saturday, October the 4th at 11:53 a.m. And I'm so glad to be here with you guys this week. I want to thank everyone for their support of last week's episode. It really meant the world to me to get such a strong reaction and good feedback about making permanent decisions in temporary spaces. God knows we've all been there. Some of us are still there, myself included. I've done that before and still working through things. But I just definitely, hopefully, wanted to offer some cover to that because, again, I feel like we're all in a season of trying to be the best versions of ourselves. And we can be so hard on ourselves. But I think we have to to learn how to see things as temporal and recognize that even though it may seem like it's lasting for a long time, it's a temporary situation. And we can contribute to it being temporary, or we can contribute to it being permanent. The choice is ours, but we have to make a choice and we have to move forward accordingly. So I'll put a link to the show notes about that one. But this week, I wanted to talk to you guys about something. I know I've kind of like been on this companion series, and I don't think this is really about a community as much, but I guess it is because it's an example of how the power of community can kind of help change your life. This week, earlier on social media, I had an opportunity to share that a few years ago, I can't even believe I'm saying that, like 2 years ago, I had an opportunity to share my story. Share a segment of my story with a former guest, Tara Jefferson, and she is an author that just wrote a book called Bloom How You Must, and it is a compilation of women's stories, Black women's stories in regards to self-care and healing and just processing through trauma. And so I wanted to talk about it because having my part of my journey, such a integral part, if I think about it, at that point in my life, 2 years ago when I turned 50, was something that I was so proud to be able to do, but I was so afraid. I was so scared because it was like I'm in a season of becoming. When I turned 50, I really made the decision in myself, looking at the context of my life, like, wow, I need to get myself together. And when I said I needed to get myself together, it wasn't that I wasn't doing good. Like, I've been doing good. But when I say get myself together, it was a matter of making the decision that this next half of my life, as I'm about to enter this next century of my life, I'm not going to live it the way I lived the first century. The first century of my life, I have felt like I gave so much of myself to other people that I lost me in the process. And I've attributed that to, just the seasons of my life where I've had to be a caregiver, the seasons of my life where, I put me on the shelf in order to survive, in order to provide for my family. And so during that time, don't get me wrong, I was still able to live. I was still able to have adventures, but to truly be able to look back and say that I lived the way that I deserved to live back then, I can't say that. That first half of my life, I really was focused on trying to make people love me versus me loving me. I was putting myself in situations where I gave so much of my heart, my soul, my energy, my time, my body to situations and to people that didn't deserve them. They didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve it, but I didn't have enough focus. I didn't have enough courage. I didn't have enough self-esteem to recognize that the actions that I was taking, the people that I was entertaining, the situations that I placed myself in were rooted in me not loving me enough. And so when I turned 50, I made the conscious choice to say that I would never be that person again, that this was my time. This was the time where I was ready to bet on me. This was the time that I was ready to go forward and live my best life. So when I turned 50, I termed it my golden renaissance. And that has opened the door to so much in my life. Making that choice was just something that I needed to do for me. And so having the chance to actually talk to Tara right before I turned 50 was so empowering. And being able to share my journey, my fears, my doubts with her really helped me build to where I am now. And for me just to be 52 and to look back on the difference that 2 years has made, I'm floored because I see the consistency. Because, it's easy when we say that we're going to do something, when we're going to put ourselves first. I'm going to put me first. I'm going to put me first. It's easy for life to come in and shift that perspective. It happens all the time. And so I wanted to take this moment to talk about how I'm proud of me, how I was able to power through. But I also want to talk about how it is so important for us to give ourselves grace so that we can bloom how we must. and how we have to understand that blooming isn't going to always be beautiful. It's going to be messy sometimes. It's going to be lonely. It's going to be disruptive, but it's necessary. So to kind of ground us as we get started in this conversation, I want to give you one quote that I want you to remember as we are talking through, one affirmation. You owe yourself the same love and energy you freely give to everyone else. So like I said, I was at a point where I made the choice when I turned 50 that I had given away everything and everyone and left nothing for myself. And that was like such a big weight, like I talked about to you. Like I said, I put myself in situations. If I think about it, that was the season of the full crash out. Like I fell apart in every area of my life, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, community-wise. Like I wasn't focused on being able to thrive the way that I deserve to thrive. And making the decision to get to this point, it really did take, like I said, me turning 50. I think I had started to be on the baby steps in my late 40s. Like I was doing some work and healing. I've been in, getting myself together and stuff like that. But I think I really didn't get serious about it until I turned 50 because I hit a wall. I hit a wall in the realization that I'm about to turn 50 and in the next 10 years, I'm going to be 60. And I can't sit here if I keep doing exactly what I'm doing and expect my life to look any different at 60. Like, how is it going to look different? If I don't start to move now, when am I going to move? And I think that that's something that we have to talk about because I feel like as women, we always have these fears, these guilts around, choosing ourselves. It's such a big conflict. Because if we think about it from a societal standpoint, we get fed and indoctrinated into believing we have to be everything to everybody, especially as Black women. My goodness, the capes are always on for us. We are always the one to save the day. Shout out, I guess, to the 92% that saved the day or tried to save the day. But, there's always these expectations of us to be everything, and we can't be everything to everyone. And so now it becomes to a point where you're exhausted. Like if I think about it, before I turned 50, I was energized about turning 50 because I was like, I'm claiming me back, but I was also tired. And that also helped contribute to the fact, like, I have to make changes. I have to get better because I can't allow myself to continuously give and not have anything back. I remember one time when I was in therapy, when I first became a caregiver, and my first therapist told me that, this is a temporary situation that you're in. And you are acting like this is permanent. And I need you to shift your focus because I hate to tell you that there is going to come a time when your mother is not going to be here and you're going to be here. And if you keep living for other people, you keep living to just survive, you are not going to know how to live when she's gone because you're going to have given everything to caring for this one person and that you are going to have absolutely nothing left. And that was real for me. I didn't really if I think about it back then, look at it probably the way I needed to look at it. It took some time for that to absorb in because when you're in situations, a lot of time when you're caregiving, or I'm even assuming as a parent, you are constantly living for your children. You're constantly living for who you're taking care of and you're giving and giving and giving. But those situations are temporary. Children grow up. And hopefully they can make it on their own and you'll be here just to be a support and a guide as they navigate this thing called life. But then when you're in the caregiving situation, caregiving space, it's not forever. It is temporal. So it is important that we still keep us inside of this so that we can live, so we can thrive. Because the one lesson that we always have to remember as we are out here trying to, make the decision to reset ourselves and to commit to art and being intentional with choices and boundaries and stillness is you can't pour from an empty soul. You really can't. And like I said, we just keep kind of trying to pour and pour, but what is the cost of that? I mean, let's talk about it. The cost of neglecting ourselves continuously. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm 50 years old. If I don't take care of myself now, I'm going to wind up like my mama. And then who's going to take care of me? I mean, I'm going to have to keep it a buck. Like, who's going to take care of me? I don't have any kids. I had never been married, so it was like, what was I going to do? And also, was that how I wanted to live? I love my mother, but I don't want to be my mother physically. I don't want to be my mother emotionally or spiritually. I want to be stronger. And that's what she always would want for me. So that meant that I had to make a choice. And I think about that for us as women. How many of us have to think about this? And maybe you should think about this, hopefully. How many of us are our mother and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers' dreams on fire? Like we are everything that they would probably want to be and then some. But yet we are choosing to live less than, to not take care of ourselves, to pour from empty vessels because we've gotten in this cycle of thinking it's our role to be responsible for everything. And that's not the case. They would never want that. As society continues to obviously change and develop, they would want more for us. So we have to want more for ourselves. And that's where it's like coming to the understanding that you can still love other people deeply and choose yourself first. You can still love other people deeply and choose yourself first. And how we have to understand that being selfless is not tied to our self-worth. Our self-worth is tied to how we feel about each other, ourselves, and how we show up for us and how we pour into us. And that evolves on every level. I mean, that's an emotional, spiritual, and physical goal, showing up for ourselves on all of those levels. And we have to understand that there is a balance, that there has to be a balance between our love of being in service to other people and self-preservation, because there's only one you. There's only one you. And honoring you and showing up for you, I think, teaches the next generation behind us that they can love and be loved without giving it all away. There always has to be something for you. And so for me, like I said, 50 was about redefining what my wholeness looks like. And it was my season of blooming. And so that's where for that year, especially when I turned 50, when I was goal setting, and how I do it now actually is I don't do like vision boards or any of that. That doesn't work for me. I have to do what I'm leaving behind. And so I started talking about what I'm leaving behind, and meaning that I'm just leaving certain things in the past. And so for me, as someone who's now 52, it's about what am I now leaving behind that I definitely will never do again moving into my late 50s and 60s. Like I'm already thinking probably like how my life is going to look the next 5-10 years ahead. I try to think about that because I know that the things that I'm doing right now are setting me up for those next seasons, those next years, those next decades of my life. I'm claiming that. I'm claiming long life for us all, but I'm claiming that. And so for me at this season right now, blooming and becoming looks like peace. It looks like alignment. It looks like purpose. It looks like joy. I can't be surrounded in anything less than that. And I want you to think about where you in this season right now may need to make the decision that it's your time to bloom. What area of your life is asking for light and attention? Because again, this is our season of redefining what our wholeness looks like. And I think it's important as you are redefining for yourself and looking at giving yourself the attention and time that you need, you have to think about some like steps and thoughts of how you want to move. Like, is this a season where you are going to give yourself permission to rest and to receive? You can't always be the one pouring. Like, is this a season where you sit back and say, what? I need people to pour into me for a little bit. Is this a season where you decide that you are going to redefine success around peace and not productivity? Because again, we don't always have to be in motion. We don't always have to be accomplishing and doing something. This may be your time of saying that my success is defined by the peace that I create in my life. And also remember that choosing you doesn't mean that you're abandoning other people. It's having the strength to understand understand that by choosing me, I am choosing you. Because when you are pouring into you, when you're able to be the best version of yourself, you are more open and receptive to other people. And you are also able to exercise boundaries in those relationships, because boundaries exist for a reason. It's not to keep people out, but to keep you fortified, to keep you strong. And you have to stay strong because you need you. We need you. And so it's important to kind of think about those things as you are kind of moving through life. And so for me, when Tara came to me about her book, it was just like the perfect time, because I needed to share that story out loud in order to make it real for me. Being able to have a resource or a collection of stories by women of all ages, like I believe in her book, she has women from ages 11 all the way up to 99. It's a beautiful compilation of experiences of women across the spectrum. We need to be able to talk about that. Our stories are so transformative because it gives us permission to begin again, to move past pain, to be inspired. We need that. And so definitely, of course, because I love Tara, I'm going to encourage you to pre-order her book and to read fully yourselves. But I also, I felt grateful because I needed that moment of being seen. It reminded me that my story has value. And I need that too, just like anybody else. We all need that. Our stories have value. And to be able to say it out loud, what I was thinking, also helped remind me that I wasn't crazy. It did. Because I'm going to be honest, I felt a little crazy, like saying that I had to choose me and saying that I was going to choose me at 50. I mean, I did. I had a little trepidation behind it. I had a little shame behind it because I'm like, why didn't I choose myself younger? But being able to be received in such a beautiful space when Tara and I had our interview and we talked, it was magical, because it was the first moment that I had given life to my story in that way. And I shared it with someone who I felt safe with, who didn't know me. Like we've chatted before because I've interviewed her because she's also the founder of the Self-Care Suite, which is another platform for Black women for our self-care and our healing, which is amazing. And she's just been doing such amazing work. But to talk to her energy, her love for herself, her love for her family, the way that she still is able to balance all of that and prioritize herself, it just was so inspiring, even when I interviewed her 4 years ago. But then to come back now and to kind of flip the script and be the one to share what I was feeling, what I was thinking at this new phase of my life, and for it to be held and to be understood meant the world to me in that moment. So yes, I truly, truly encourage you guys to do that, to read this book and to find your story, to read my story, but to also be encouraged by all the other stories as well, because we all deserve to bloom without apology. We all deserve to bloom how we must. And so, yeah, that's really what this is about. It's about getting to the point where you recognize that your life belongs to you, and you don't have to explain your bloom, your process to anyone. I really want you guys to think about that. And I want you actually to reflect on this question or journal it, whatever it feels good to you to do. Where in my life have I been shrinking when I should be blooming? And I'm going to repeat that again. Where in my life have I been shrinking when I should be blooming? I really want you to, like I said, process that for you. Only you know the truest side of that answer. But let me tell you, making the choice to bloom on my path, on my terms, has truly been life-changing for me. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to choose me. It wasn't easy. It didn't always feel comfortable. Sometimes it still doesn't always feel comfortable, but I'm still going to do it because I know that I'm worth it. I want you to know that you are worth it as well. So I want to encourage you to share this episode with another woman who's learning to choose herself. There are many of us who are on the journey. And I hope that you guys will obviously, check out Tara's book, check out her platforms. She is amazing. And I'll make sure everything is linked in the show notes. And of course, I really hope that you will continue to share your thoughts with me. Tag me at Instagram or Threads at Pamela L. Davis and the Well Done Life podcast with the hashtag Bloom How You Must, and tell me how you're blooming, because I really want to support you and be here on the journey with you. So yes, that is this week's episode. It is, a little bit shorter than normal, but hopefully just what you need. Because again, it's about blooming. It's not about productivity. It's about taking what you need in the moment when you need it and going forward. And I want you to go forward. So I hope that you are enjoying your weekend. I hope that you are finding space whenever you are listening this to ask yourself where you need to bloom and really choosing you, because you are so worth it. And I hope that you, like I said, will share this episode with another woman who you know is blooming, so we can all bloom together. I want you to take care of yourselves and each other, and we will talk again soon. Bye-bye.